maybe that's it. Or maybe we should change the image of people eating meat. Or maybe, I don't know, there's something in the taste. I don't know.
Okay.
So
okay.
For me, the bottom line is what counts.
Got it.
Yeah, there's also like a statistic saying like 1 vegetarian is saving 10 people from hunger in the world. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you need so much more food to produce the cow in order, for example, produce the cow in order for you to eat the cow.
That's right. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. What happens? Rainforests are cut down to grow soya, and then the soya is shredded and fed to cows. And I think you need about, if I'm not mistaken, like 10 kilos of soya to have 1 kilo of meat. So yeah, it just doesn't add up. And for me, it's the same. Huh? I know all these things, but I eat meat, I think, 3-4 times a week easily. Yeah.
Okay.
Even while my wife is a vegetarian. So it's
So she's backing you on this 100%, saying,
no,
definitely on to that.
She doesn't really care. It's
Cool.
So,
okay. So
she leaves me. Yeah.
All right. Thank you very much for getting into it. We'll just kind of jump into the first part of this, which is kind of exploring some things that are working in relation to, making and marketing plant-based meat replacements so that they become viable options.
Yeah.
So the way this works is just basically double-clicking on any card that's at the top up here and putting in some things that are currently working that you experience in your locality, in your environment, maybe that you're seeing in the news. It's something that basically reflects that that ideal or that particular alignment that you have in your challenge. This is just basically like you, I think Mehmet and Catherine, you had done it in the previous exercise. This is just to kind of explore your thinking. We'll kind of go down the same route as we did last time, put 2 minutes to this. There are no right and wrong answers. This is just to kind of get your brain oriented towards this particular ideal or challenge and where it could go.
Right. Okay.
And for reference, I will be participating in this as well, but I'm just
cool.
taking my
Hold on, my mural is not working.
Are you seeing a sort of updating changes?
Yeah, I can see you all, but I have no cursor and I can't scroll anything.
Try refreshing the page and seeing if that gives you back your cursor.
30 seconds are left.
Think. Refresh fast. Okay, go ahead and wrap up whatever you're typing. And take a kind of a scan of what people have kind of put in here in terms of what they're interested in and where they think things are kind of moving in the right direction with relation to plant-based alternatives in relation to meat. Now we're going to go into what things are not working, obstacles and problems related to the particular idea or challenge we're looking at, which is marketing and making plant-based meat replacements in terms of like making them viable and options. Think of some obstacles and problems related to that topic. And again, we'll give everyone 2 minutes to kind of explore this. No right or wrong answers, just kind of exploring what you think are issues related to plant-based alternatives. If you need more time, let me know. We do have plenty of time, by the way. I just put it 2 minutes as an arbitrary number. I'll add 1 minute actually, because I need to think of some more. So I'm adding a minute. Sorry about that. Okay, so go ahead and wrap up. I'm telling myself this as well as for everybody else. You're suddenly going really choppy. I apologize. Mural just suddenly was going really, really slow for a second. Okay. Whoever is the anonymous horse, what are you doing?
That's me.
It's not that big. Okay. Yeah. Is anybody experiencing Mural being very chunky right now?
No, not me.
Not for me.
I just had to reboot. My computer's all frozen up. So
Okay. Very good. Okay. So we're going to go over to the right-hand side from where we were looking before. And Catherine and Mehmet, similar to what we did last time, we're going to take all of the cards that we just created, and we're going to do some affinity diagramming. Basically, take all the cards that you see here and put them underneath categories that make sense to you. So if 2 or 3 of them all seem to kind of fit under a particular category, you're going to click and drag it over to a category and give it a gold name, and or put a name in the gold digital card, and then we'll continue to sort things out from there. Later on, after everything's sorted, we'll just kind of scrutinize for duplicates, make sure we notate those, and go into a round of voting. While you're doing this, I'll be right back. So you'll be staring at a couch, but I'll be back soon. Okay. Well, my timer was pretty good, I guess. Right, so now that things are kind of put in their place, go ahead and see if there are things that are very, very closely related. If there are, all you have to do is just highlight both of them and make them the same color. We can kind of take a look at what they are, how similar they are, or their variations on a theme. Okay, I think we're good then. Let's do some voting. We have, how many people we have? 4 people, and there's 5, 10, 15, 20, 24. Let's say about 5 votes would do it. I'm going to vote on the problem that you find is the most compelling, or the one that's the most important. So which problem is the most important to consider? Again, 5 votes. When I click next, you're going to be clicking and voting on any gray card. Don't vote on the category. You're going to click on a card to add a vote, shift click to remove a vote, and no one will see your particular cards. I will be voting in this session, just so you know. Okay? Okay, we just have a horse and a giraffe waiting to make up their minds, which is totally fine. We are very good on time, so if you want to pace back and forth before you put your vote on your loss, you can do that if you'd like.
We have 2 giraffes.
Yes, we have two.
I'm a giraffe too. A new one.
Might there ever be a situation where they run out of digital animals to do this with? So we'll end the voting session, see where everything came out. And it looks like there's 2 in particular that kind of been up there. There's one with more unique votes. That's uncertainty on giving the right nutrients for growing kids, especially. And the one that was very close was not many can relate to the environmental impact of cutting down meat. For the purposes of this exercise, we're going to take the one that had the most unique votes and the most votes and kind of move forward with that, which is uncertainty on giving the right nutrients for growing kids, especially. So I will take this and zoom out a bit and down here.
Yeah, there you.
I will summon you over to where I am, so you'll be able to follow them. Okay. So right now we're looking at the lower left-hand side of the mural, and we're going to be reframing this as this problem as a challenge. So the way to do this is basically think of a statement of how we're going to be using the how might we process, and that process is basically a way of looking at a problem and not jumping to solutions right away, and thinking of possibilities on where this particular solution could go in relation to the problem. So basically a way of kind of explaining that is if I look at the top problem, it says uncertainty on giving the right nutrients for growing kids especially. One how might we that might address this without jumping to a conclusion is how might we, and I'm going to keep the acronym here for an example, how might we show, illustrate the nutritional benefits of different plants, right? That's one. Now I could also spell out how might we and go how might we and put in something like how might we show when certain foods, certain vegetarian options are best for certain age groups. That's one of the speculative questions that I would ask in relation to this problem. So it's the same thing with the rest of the how might we's. Put in something where it asks a question in relation to the problem where you're not basically telling the solution right away, but asking the open-ended question of something related to the problem. Now I'm going to give about 4 minutes for this so that you can have a little bit more time to kind of explore this. Again, no right or wrong answers. This may seem a little foreign if you've never done it before, so it's perfectly okay to feel kind of a little unsure about it. But just do a few how might we statements and see how those kind of work themselves out. Again, you don't want to be too detailed, but just be general enough so that you're leaving the possibility of the solution being open-ended, or leaving the question open-ended, and the solution, when we go into the next section, being a bit more definitive. We have about a minute left. If you need more time, let me know. Otherwise, keep on going. Okay, if you're working on a digital card, go ahead and wrap that up and then deselect it. And I will move the cards from the How Might We down here. Oops. I don't deselect them first and bring them down into the affinity diagram below. At this point, Catherine and Mehmet, you're going to be so good at affinity diagramming, you're going to start doing it with your eyes closed. With as many like sorting as you've done in the past like couple hours. So, but by all means, same thing. I don't think I have to repeat the instructions. Just go ahead and put cards underneath particular groups. Go ahead and give them a group or category name and kind of see how all those answers kind of work themselves out. Okay. I think we're pretty good. Let's go ahead and take a look at the cards real fast just to see if there's any duplicates, any things that are very, very similar. If you do see them, then just go ahead and highlight both of them just for so I can take a look at them. I'm looking at them myself right now. Not seeing any. Maybe somebody else does. Yeah, sometimes when the part of this, you end up kind of resorting things a bit. Okay. All right. If we're good, then let's go ahead and get into voting. Let's do 5, 10, 15, 20, 23 out of 5. Oh, wait a minute. Hold the phone. How may we teach the children?
They're the same, right?
Yeah, I believe they are.
Yep.
AL imitation in school. Yeah, I'm gonna take this one out. Put
Great.
this one there. Okay. Who caught that, by the way? Let's give credit where credit is due. Who caught that duplication?
I did.
Very nice. Well done, Phil. Well done. Right. Let's get on. Let's get our vote on. This is going to be. You're going to be voting from the lens of which how might we's are the most compelling to explore in the next section when we do some ideation. Basically, which ones do you want to ideate on and think of solutions for? But I usually say compelling as a way of just framing it properly. So 5 votes per person. Basically, click on a particular how might we question that you really like. Shift click if you don't, or that if you put too many votes on something and you want to take them off. No one can see your mouse cursor, so you can basically feel free to go at it. But whatever you do, do not select any of the categories above, like any of the categories or groups that you see. I forgot I had to vote too. Okay. We just have a few more votes. Only the horses left.
Oh, that's me.
You don't have to say who you are. It's better if I don't know. I can just go, well, the horse is taking their time. As horses typically do. All right, everyone's voted. We're going ahead and end the voting session and see where the votes kind of went out from. It looks like we have 3. It's like we have 2 that have 3 unique votes, as well as like 1 that has 2. How might we show the long-term effects of a meat-based diet for developing children? How might we help with a seamless experience on changing to healthy food habits? And how might we teach the children veg diet in school, start with from the youngs? Okay, so I'm going to take the first 2 and move those into places or down below. So hang on a minute. Here, as well as, where's the other 3? There it is. Okay. We're going to do a quick scale like we did in the previous How Might We. Art, if you're not familiar with this, what we're going to be doing is looking at these two particular cards, and we're going to look at them based on importance, like which one is the most important to kind of go after. We're going to be putting them on this scale of high importance versus low importance. The way to indicate what you feel is how important this is basically you take your mouse cursor and kind of move it in a circle somewhere on the line, whether it's of high importance, medium importance, or low importance when we're considering the card that we put here right above. And then we find a place for it somewhere on the scale. So this first one, it says, how might we help with a seamless experience on changing to healthy food habits? Where do you think this falls in terms of the importance? So we got a giraffe and Sandyland basically moving their mouse over here. They seem to be the only 2 people that are moving right now, so I think that's about right. We'll put it right here. Then how might we show the long-term effects of a meat-based diet for developing children? Where does this fall? So right around there. It's kind of, so it looks like this one kind of beats it out slightly. So how may we show the long-term effects of a meat-based diet for developing children would be the thing we're going to move forward with. I'll go ahead and plant it back up here. And I will guide everyone there in just a second. Okay, This next section, we're going to start ideating on the how might we that we just voted on, and we're going to do this without doing too much talking. So if we, a little bit of a review in relation to finding meat or plant-based, meat-based alternatives like plant-based options and educating and letting people know about them. The top problem we saw as a group was there was uncertainty on giving the right nutrients for growing kids. And how might we kind of explored and thought of that would be best to explore was how might we show the long-term effects of a meat-based diet for developing children. Now, what you're going to do in this section for ideation is start thinking of those particular solutions that would correspond to this how might we. Now, these ideas can be practical, they can be silly, they can be stupid, they can be bold, they can be completely out of this world, something you don't think is entirely possible. But what you do want to do is go after quantity over quality. Don't worry so much about getting it exactly right. Concentrate more on the amount of solutions that you can produce. And again, you're going to be doing this against the how might we, where it's how might we show the long-term effects of a meat-based diet for developing children. So think of different solutions that would answer that question. I'm going to give everyone about 3 minutes to do this exercise, and we'll see how it goes. And again, there's no right or wrong answer. This is just your own exploratory thinking around where things could go. And if you can, try to work from the top left to the top right and move down and across so that it's easier for facilitation in terms of moving things from one section to the next. Give about 30 more seconds. Okay, if you are still working on a digital card, go ahead and wrap it up. And we'll take a look at the solutions that people have put in so far. Like I was joking in a previous one, I kind of gonna go, it's time for another edition of Affinity Diagramming with your host, Robert Sprove. Hey everybody, how's it going? We're about to do another round of Affinity Diagramming here, taking your particular solution. So go at it. Let's sort these out, figure out where they go into different groups. Now, since here's also something else that I'd like feedback on. This was done in response to people who felt like it was better to really look at the answers and look at the how might we's in detail, so that they felt like they had an understanding of what people had put in to the whiteboard. If you have an alternative to affinity diagramming that would work just as well, that would break up this kind of fall back to this particular exercise, feel free to suggest something. You can do it right now in the chat, or you can do it in you can do it offline in Slack. But I would really like to know other sorting exercises that you think would be good to explore that could do just as well, so I can break up the monotony of doing affinity diagramming at the time.
Territory mapping, maybe.
Territory mapping?
And then clustering and then giving the names afterwards.
Oh, okay. So you just cluster them first and then put names to them.
Yep, and then you don't have the structure of vertical or horizontal. You just do it based on the affinity, and then you decide which post-it, if it's, for example, in the middle, belongs to what kind of cluster, and then you can start naming the clusters afterwards.
Got it. Okay. All right. I will try that next time, Mehmet. Sandy, what do you think?
So just kind of like a random canvas. So
Mehmet, can you kind of share a link to like the technique?
Yeah, of course.
Look at it. Excuse me. I'm gonna change my location. Starting to get sleepy on the couch.
I think this card is not really finished, right? Food learning when getting your
Yes, your first baby. Usually you change your habits when you have children.
There we go.
Where is it? So I just put it in the chat?
Yeah, you can go ahead and put in the chat for Zoom, and then we can take a look at it. For create a fun reality show document, I think this is just, yeah. Looks like it's more of an orphan, which is fine. Okay, any similar cards that you see here, just go ahead and color them and kind of scrutinize them a bit.
Wacht maar, een mooie die cakes van.
Thank you very much, Mehmet.
Welcome.
Okay. Yeah, we'll try that. Sandy, I'd like to try that for one of these, but maybe it's just a matter of seeing where it makes sense to do so.
Yeah, just a short explanation. In my days at Accenture, I learned as territory mapping, but they renamed it somehow so that it is rather put to as identification of who or what the main users are or a system interaction. And what I actually mean and what they renamed it to is affinity clustering, which is then slide 15.
Got it. Okay, thank you. There are two that says make a website that shows your future face with a slider from 0 to 1 kilogram meat per day. And another one says develop a simulator where kids can choose their options and see where it takes them. They are similar, yes, they are true, but I think one's more definitive and then another one is like more generalistic, especially if you, yeah. So they're close, I agree. It's probably out of those two, I don't know, they're similar, but they seem like they're viable options either way, depending on what you wanted to do. One's more open-ended, another one is
All right. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, I think we're set for one more round of voting in terms of the solutions, right? So around ideation. I have to double check because we've been going really fast, so I have to make sure that we're not like skipping over stuff, which I have a tendency sometimes to do if we go too fast. 5 votes again. We're going to talk about which ideas would be interesting to do for a design sprint. That's where you would eventually hit with these things. So click on next. Go ahead and click on particular cards you like. Shift click on a vote that you may have put that you want to retract. No one will see your cursor. I will be voting as well. Let's see where everything pans out.
How many votes do we have?
Here we have 5.
Nice.
We just have that one horse that's looking to put that final vote down, and then we're set. The horse's vote will. Oh, whoa! There was a little bit of movement. Okay, we're good. let's see where these kind of landed. Looks like it says the one that went out says make visible you are eating the earth, make to a rainforest. Eating the earth, make to, what does M2 mean?
Square meters.
Square meters, yeah.
Oh, my fault. Okay, the metrics. Sorry, just in earth metrics and forest. Got it. Okay. Then we have a bunch of 2 votes down here, which we should probably put through another process to kind of vet those out a little bit. We do have one with 4 votes that is definitely going forward. Make visible the eating of the earth and the metrics of the rainforest. So I'm going to put this up here. Actually, I'm going to have that. I'll just copy it and bring it up over here in the blue. And give me 1 second. Bring all the 2s. Okay. Actually, let me look at those results again. So there's, okay, there were 7, my fault. Okay. On with this, and we can stretch this and see where it actually goes. I thought it was more than 5 because I saw more than 2s. Okay, so we'll go down here. All right, so we're going to do the same thing we did with the previous exercise around importance, but now we're going to do it on potential. We're going to look at these solutions from the perspective of what potential do they have in a design sprint. So I'll start with the very first one. It says make statistics visual and relatable. In terms of the potential of this, where do you think this falls? Again, you just kind of move your mouse somewhere on the line in terms of where you think it should be. So we have the horse and giraffe are at odds with each other, and there's another giraffe, a sandy lamb, that's kind of in the middle. So we're going to take it right around there. Okay. Create a game that associates happiness with making proper food choices. In terms of its potential, where do you think it should go? Should it be on the right or the left of this particular box? It looks like it's somewhere right around there. There. Okay. Document the journey of twins who have different diets. In relation to these boxes here, these digital cards, where do you think this falls? Behind or ahead, somewhere in the middle? So it looks like there's a scattering of 4. I think it kind of sits right around the same place. So we'll put it here for now. Create a fun reality show, document the effect, but not revealing the purpose of the show up front. In relation to all the other digital cards, where does this fall? We got a horse and sandy lamb on the right. We've got the giraffe kind of joining them. So it looks like it's right there. Food learning when getting your first baby. What, in terms of its potential, when in a design sprint, where do you think it should go in relation to all the other cards? You have 3 here. Sandy Lamb's kind of over here going, I'm not too impressed with it. So it looks like it's about here, I'd say. A little bit of a filter. Develop a simulator where kids can choose their options and see where it takes them. In relation to a design sprint for this, where do you think it falls in terms of potential? We have the giraffe over on the right going up and down. Sandy Lamb's kind of over there. Giraffe somewhere in the middle, horse is joining the giraffe. It's kind of like right around there, I'd say. And then finally, show which animals die when you choose a meat-based item. Show resources that are used too. Where do you think this falls on the potential of where it's going to go in relation to all the other cards? So we have the giraffes kind of like, yeah, Sandy's, giraffe. The other giraffe is, and horse isn't buying it. So it's like right around here, I'd say. So we have these 3. It looks like these 2 edge out. So we're going to go with these as like the next steps into this. And there's that. Okay, if you were part of the last LDJ, you kind of know where this is going. You basically had to put your names in the dots over here on the right-hand side. Art, since you're not familiar with this, I'll explain really briefly. On the screen here, I'm showing an I'm showing an impact and interest matrix, whereas the x-axis is the interest that you personally have in the 3 solutions that we kind of put up here, which are make visible you are eating the earth by metrics of the rainforest, create a fun reality TV show, or a fun reality show and document the effects, but not revealing the purpose, and develop a simulator where kids can choose their options and see where it takes them. So those are the 3 that you'll be kind of figuring out in terms of interest. Impact is to take the idea at its face and say, how much of an impact will it be if we do a design sprint with this? What's the potential impact of where it can go? And then you would probably want to draw it on the y-axis. So for me, since I'm taking part of this, I'm going to put my name in blue. And I'll do the same in gold, and I'll do the same in gray. Start with blue. I'm going to put it right in the center. So the blue one associates with the idea up here. It says, make visible you are eating the earth and the metrics of the rainforest. In terms of its interest for me, I'll be honest with you, it doesn't really hit much for me in terms of interest. In terms of its impact, it could have a negligible impact, so I'm going to have probably somewhere in the middle there. So again, that's perfectly fine if anyone feels like I do. You can put things in the forget about it column and no one will think any less of you. The ideas may be interesting, not interesting, but you think they have high impact, go here. And then the very interesting, but it's not really going to move the needle much in relation to the challenge, would go over here. So you can place all of your dots wherever you think they could go. And let's see. So the gold one, you do the exact same thing, start in the middle. And I'm going to just gauge it on impact and interest based on the y and the x-axis. And then basically the colors associate with these 3 particular solutions that we can go in. Just take a moment to kind of sort those out, where those dots should go, and then we'll have a short discussion a little bit afterwards. Mm. I think everyone's put their dots down. Yep. Okay, so if we just start with the upper right-hand quadrant in terms of like things that have high interest, high impact as perceived by the group, it looks like the votes are very similar to like the way we ended up voting in the previous exercises are kind of reflected here. Looks like there's 3 dots for blue, 2 1/4 dots for gold, and then a couple of gray ones, and then it kind of ventures out from there. So blue and gold do have like it's kind of validating that people were thinking that those particular solutions could work. In terms of the contrast, there wasn't anything that people thought was like completely a dud or really didn't go anywhere. But there were some things that were clearly not interesting for people, but they still thought they had impact. Whereas where Catherine had thought something was very interesting, but didn't really have much impact in terms of the last option. So what are some of your thoughts around what you're seeing here with the effort impact matrix with some of the choices? And maybe you can also give your perspective on why you chose to put the dot the way you did, and it can inform the group. So start with Aart, and after going through this process, what made you vote the way you did?
Well, what I see is clearly the make visible you're eating the earth. That's I think the highest impact and interest. With the runner-up is the fun reality show. I think it's fun. And I think the simulator for kids is a bit shattered, but if you look at the dots, that is. The only thing I'm wondering now, if you look at the problem and how might we and we kind of went back a step. Are you okay with that? Because we we said the top problem was we're uncertain on giving the right nutriments for kids, right? And then if you see
solutions, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt, but do you think any of these particular potential design sprints would address that problem that we voted on? Sounds like a non-answer is no.
well, the blue one is not, I think, right? Because it's really about the resource use, which has nothing to do to nutriments.
And if I remember correctly, the original idea was to showcase the plant-based options that people had in relation to like the meat-based options, kind of get away from what considered as a viable option. In terms of the challenge itself, how well did these three potentially align with that idea that you had?
Oh, they're all fine, but I was wondering more about the process, because kind of we selected the top problem, and now we kind of take a step back. So are you okay with that? That's, I think it's all good options to reduce meat consumption. Absolutely, yeah.
I mean, I'm neutral because I don't have an opinion either way. I just go through the process to see what kind of vets itself out. So if we do some like exploratory ideation around certain topics that we vote on and seeing where those kind of land, sometimes you can completely go off the reservation with the original idea, and sometimes you can kind of make sure you're aligned with it. But that can also speak to the potential or the definition of the idea or challenge you originally framed. So it may not necessarily be the process. It could be that this is a wide enough topic that it can go in different directions, especially with its problems and stuff.
Oh yeah.
So,
all right. Okay, that's clear. Yeah.
If this is a different group, 6 or 7, then all those cards are going to be different. Almost all of them. There may be some that find affinity with other people, but yeah. Solutions will definitely be varied, so because everybody sees those through a different lens. Any other thoughts about the way that things kind of turned out with the votes? Sandy, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I think like the reason I put the make visible you are eating the earth as like the highest impact, because I think when you can show that and make that visual, it will create like a really huge impact on people's like psychologically actually. And then that will lead to habit changes or just even culture changes. But I kind of do agree, like, because when we look back at the top problem, which is nutrition part, like how we can find the right nutrition for the growing kids, that particular problem seems cannot be addressed by making this eating the earth visual or making that visible. So and I actually think like creating that reality show would create also like a huge impact, and also will address the top problem. But I personally don't like reality shows, so that's why I kind of just like lower the interest a little bit that way. Yeah.
And now the reason why I'm asking these questions is because this is the illustration of how this particular topic could be brought back to a group that currently is existing, like Team Cuisine or Team MVP or somebody else that are looking at these particular these options and seeing what a group of people that looked at the problem came up with. But if you were bringing it back to any of your groups, Sandy, and this was the Meat Munchers one was up for consideration, you would have a firsthand impression of what this is all about, so that you can basically bring it to the discussion of the group when it comes to picking a challenge, and what you felt, either your gut feeling or just based on what you've seen, where some of those we can statements could be viable for some design sprint exploration.
But maybe there's also a question or dilemma that I'm having, because like one of my team are requesting me to put all the results of this LDJs along with the challenges before we choose the challenge. Like then they are like parallel in all one page, but I'm worrying if I do that, the results of the solutions here will influence the way how people choose the challenge at the beginning.
Yeah, I would stay away from that, because people are trying to find a proper way of getting a summary of what the LDJ was all about. They could just have to open up the mural. I mean, it could be just linking to the murals that you're considering and having those available for people to kind of explore. But it has to be from the perspective of what people kind of gather up overall, because if they're looking at the data just as is, I think you may miss some context in relation to how this group kind of came to where it is. It should probably be more from your personal point of view or your experience than just looking at the mural board itself or just the results.
Yeah.
Because people will infer based on what they read. And
then you already kind of have like a solution in your head before going into the challenge as well.
Right.
So.
Right. And you have, after this, I would assume that everyone here on the call has a pretty good idea of where it could go and what their impressions are and what their opinions are. And it should be more of a group conversation on a social level around potential, so that you're not just thinking about the data or just worrying about that. You're actually having a conversation as human beings around these topics and what seems to make sense and what would be interesting to kind of pursue. Especially if somebody asks the open-ended question, well, what about the Meat Munchers one? Did anybody attend that? And if not, let's open it up in the mural and people can kind of take a look at it. So there's that. That's at least what my hope is that we don't try to shortcut the socialization process of where something could go. Because I know there are some people that are very, very keen on doing the circular economy. Like that's what they're after experiencing it and going through it, that's what they want to do. And they're going to bring that to the table saying, look, I think this is perfect for a virtual sprint. And there may be something else where somebody goes, you know what, we just did one Wednesday morning, and I really like the idea of the innovator one, where we're basically thinking about innovation for kids at a very early level. So there's going to be push and pull all the way around, and it'll come down to doing, a vote to see where people kind of vet themselves out, where the group should go. But I'll say this, I could have made it less messy and had it pre-picked already so that people just choose based on the challenge. But I tried that in April, and what I found out was that people had their own ideas and their own impressions of what an idea or challenge should be. So I reversed it for this event and said, look, you can take some extra time to explore it, but then you will have to make the hard decision around what you want to choose. And if what your group chooses is something you don't like, then there's enough bandwidth right now for people to choose options to go to other teams that are picking up something that you may be interested in. So at the expense of being messy, I wanted to employ some flexibility with the model. Okay.
So the question is if everyone really goes only or if the ideas are the only factors that come into play when they choose the groups and the challenges, might be also that they go certain to say, okay, well, this time I would like to work with person A, B, C because we worked beforehand very nicely, and that's the reason why. Yeah, so it might also play a role.
That, and when you do a survey for the people that are on the team on when they can get together, you might find that there's one person that's only available throughout the day, not available in the evening.
Yeah.
And kind of like kills it for them because there's just an availability issue.
Yeah.
So you have to then it would be on my person to go, okay, I have to find a place and look at the doodles of other teams and see where it seems to be more alignment, especially in the same time zone. And then it's a negotiation of, well, this team seems to meet the same time you do, but they're taking on the plague of customer returns. And that challenge may or may not resonate with that person, and then you just have to have that conversation. It's like, to try to accommodate different needs.
Exactly.
Go to a certain point, but then after that, I can't. It's just the nature of the beast.
Mhm.
Okay, any other thoughts about this process beyond the idea that we're going to change the diagramming a bit so that it isn't so redundant from section to section? Catherine and Mehmet, you've done 2 in a row.
Yes, and I realized that I have it's the same experience I had in the first GVDS I participated in, which is that I was lacking, and I trust the process. So, but sometimes it's exactly like Aart said, I can't necessarily see the fit between the top problem, the how might we, and the different options that we have, and then the whole process pursued, and something happens. So that's more of a, yeah, I still have more of a question mark in terms of the way we vote. And I know that when there is a big discrepancy, when the vote is spread heavily, it's always a bit complicated.
Yes. It also speaks to the nature of the original intent with a challenge. Like we did one for happiness with Micah, and when we were done, we ended up in a completely different place than when she was than what her intent was.
Yes.
So it made her rethink what her original messaging was and how she was trying to convey what she wanted to do. But it wasn't that the process went off kilter. It was because that particular group of people saw her problem or her idea in a particular fashion and followed it towards its natural conclusion. So the original author back then did a pause. It's like, okay, well, that wasn't what was intended originally, but that was how it was interpreted. And that's that understanding gap sometimes that makes for interesting conversation around what are the outcomes, what are the intents that you want to do with this. If you go down a certain path with Meat Munchers, is it just to inform people about their meat options in terms of like eating it and getting in better habits? But the how becomes messy because it could be so fractal and so detailed around which direction it can go.
Exactly.
But yeah, that's the conversation to have, is that it's never easy. It's never just a great shot to whatever the solution is. You got all these professionals on the line that are looking at it differently based on their experiences.
Absolutely. So to me, the question really in the process is, well, what's the next step when we have that kind of scattered and we make decisions because it's important? That's the discussion, I guess, afterwards that helps understand.
Yep, within the design sprint, and then you have it. You can have it even before then and do some problem framing.
Yeah.
And Sandy's made some incredible templates that'll help you guide through that. In fact, they have a kind of kickoff session template where you can use that and just walk through it, and then everyone starts aligning on what you are going to be shooting for and centering on before you start going into your sprint week, which is what plagued April because we were kind of just jump starting into it and people didn't have proper context.
Yes, definitely.
We're kind of remedying that this time around by doing that necessary problem framing and discussion around where it could go.
Excellent. I'm looking forward.
Maybe one. So I experienced that topic also during my design thinking workshops as well. So what I tend to do now is, maybe it is a fix, I'm not sure if that works here, is that in every stage I remind people, very important, think about the top problem. How might we you're currently voting for? How do they most appropriately are in line, or are they in line with the top problem? And then the same, of course, respectively with the ideas or solutions that are being proposed. So how much are they in line with the how might we? Yeah, for example, and also solving the top problem, so that people always have that in mind in each of the respective ideas. Because what I experience is people, and we of course as well, we get caught up with several ideas and several experiences here, and then we tend to choose something which we might like, but we also tend to forget what was the initial problem if we don't see it all the time.
I think that's what that may be a card that's missing. Is that we start off with the cards that we transfer from section to section. We start with like the problem from the second part. Maybe Sandy, there's wisdom in taking maybe this, like in the Meat Munchers Minds, like this one. There's a sentence that says how to make a market plan how to make and market plant-based meat replacements so that we actually consider it an option, and put that in the card to the left of when we're going to be doing everything. So that original idea is baked into the process. So we see the transition from going from one section to the next. That may help outside of having time for discussion. But again, if we're doing this in 90 minutes, you know, we could do it. It's just usually we're at time now. We're just taking the ample time at the end for discussion.
Yeah.
Okay, so I think we're good. Again, thank you all for coming. I'm going to stop my share real fast on this, and you know what's coming up. You know I'm going to ask. It's the group shot. Oh, this time it's fun having a kid because I have plenty of items. It's like this is like a troublemaker where you can turn it. It's loud.
Oh, you even have sound.
Yeah. Shut the door. But it's this, and it has lights that basically go off throughout the whole thing.
I wish I would have such items like you, but right now I think I should be putting more personal stuff here.
Yeah, I'm running out of items too.
What are you showing then?
Yes, I need something.
Everything which I have in front of me or here that are somehow.
Oh, this is Megan.
I don't know.
Sandy, if you're down to your shoe,
Sandy, that's awesome.
you're gonna start peeling stuff off of the wall. That's all there is to it. Now I get better lighting because you can't really see.
Oh, you get a cat there.
Yeah. Oh, there you go. There's a cat. And now we got to take a picture soon because after a while it's gonna be like, all right, what are you doing? All right, are you ready? Here we go. The cable. That'll work. That'll work. Ready? 1, 2, 3. All right. Thank you very much.
Go for it. Go for it.
All right. So you all have a good rest of your day, evening, wherever you are. Thank you very much for your time today. Art, hopefully this is worthwhile and explore the problem in an interesting way for you.
Yeah.
And like I said, this is all the feedback into the community about particular challenges. Okay? So,
Thanks, Robert. Thanks.
you're welcome.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Bye.
Okay, bye.
Bye bye.